There goes the film. Sharon, how you doing? Long time no see. Hey.
Wow. And I know why you went your route, so I'm ready for that. If you're only more in your class for 8 days, after seeing these, you'll never get there. I saw
how many people came for this, and I'm really happy. My name's Dan Anderson, in case a lot of you don't know. But I'm the so-called president, but Linda Winfield is the real president.
Right there.
The real president. Yeah. But anyway, I just want to welcome all of you here, and Sharon, welcome home.
Great to be here. Great to see you.
You got a few words you'd like to say to us all?
I could.
But does she want to?
Yeah, I would like to really. Is there a microphone or something so I don't have to scream?
Yes, y'all. You want to try it? Go ahead. You're on. You're on.
Okay.
No, she heard him.
Yeah. Okay, well, should I just
Go ahead.
Whatever you want to share.
Why don't you just kind of move in as close as we can here?
Yeah, because my voice gives out sometimes. Yeah, no, we're not old. That's just a number. Yes, just a number. Yeah, I can't believe it.
So go ahead.
Okay.
You got your story?
Probably, well, I'll tell you maybe a little bit. I spent 10 years in Romania. Romania, you said. Yeah, Romania. And maybe if you looked at my data about me there, I studied in the university there in Romania, which seems a bit strange. But I went there because I knew there was a need, like spiritual need there. They were asking for the But the first 4 years were under communism. And so to be in the country, we had to have a good excuse. And I studied biology in the university there, and I did postgraduate work in the university. But at the same time, we were busy in the country. We had a full schedule, but then on the weekends we'd be traveling and such. Anyway, that's how that is. And I love it.
You want anything, Nancy?
So anyway, then I went, well, okay, I'll tell you this much. During the time of communism, we had to be very, very careful. And about 1 in every 3rd persons worked with a secret police. And we heard about the Berlin Wall coming down. We heard about Czechoslovakia, that there was a revolution. And I thought, it will never happen here, because it just got tighter and tighter as that happened. And then the revolution happened. We were in Timișoara when it broke out. We were on our way out of the country. And I'll admit that was one time over there when I was afraid for my life. Because there were tanks had come into town, there were helicopters, there was shooting going on, but we managed to get to the train station and got out, and then things changed. This was in December, we went back in January, and it was changed already. And the country is modern and nice now, but this gives me hope for our situation now. Because with Russia, it seems so hopeless. And when the war started, they are such a big country, and we were like little David against Goliath. And it didn't seem possible that we would ever survive. I left the country before the war started. I read stuff. I don't just go by the headlines or what people say, but I like to know what's really happening. And people said every year Russia does this. They bring their army to the border, and it's just to scare us. Well, I read more than that. And I read that they brought blood supply, and they brought portable hospitals. And that meant that there's something going to be different this year. And so I wrote to the person I'm responsible to, and I said, I am afraid we're so far from the border. It took an hour and a half, a day and a half to get to the border from where we were. And the Russians were really close to us there where they were. And so he said, go to Romania, they're waiting for you there. So I was out of the country when the war started. And those that were not out of the country had a really hard time to get out. Everybody wanted to leave then. There were huge lines. They spent all night standing to get across the border, cold winter. And it's like 17 hours to border crossing. And people were in a panic. But generally, I don't just look at the headlines, but I like to read what's going on. I read the history of those countries, and I see history repeating itself so often. I didn't like history in school. And now I enjoy it, and I read books that are about the earlier years of that area. Like there's one written by Timothy Schneider, and it's called The Bloodlands of Europe, and it's the time between the two wars. Well, between First World War and Second World War, and it's very interesting. And then I see the same thing happening now as happened then. And Russia went into Poland then, and it was not a war to them. That was in 39. No, 39. Russia went into Poland, and they said, "We're doing this to help save the Russians that are in Poland." Well, they went in and they killed a lot of people and deported a lot of people, just like they've done now when they came into the country. But they had an excuse, and it was the same thing, now and then. And the Russians, even until now, the date of the war, everywhere, even in Ukraine, is written from 1941 until 45. But for the Ukrainians, the war started in 39 when the Russians invaded. But the Russians don't consider that war. The war started for them when Germany attacked them. And so then that was in 41.
Sharon, when did you become a missionary, actually missionary work, and did you have to do it underground, or were you allowed to do it in the open?
It depends there. I mean, where there was communism, we worked critical. And we worked, for example, sometimes people, and we were careful what we said, because we didn't work real open as missionaries. Sometimes there's a taxi driver or something, and you're like, what are you doing here? I said, well, we know it's difficult. I mean, we live here, and we know the conditions, and we cannot change it for you. But maybe we can help you find peace where you are. And things like that. You work carefully, and also we feel that maybe more important than words is just being a light and showing people what you're at. Because people get sick of people preaching at them, and you gotta repent and blah blah blah. Show them the light. Show them a different light. Go up there and something better.
What do you think the outcome's going to be?
Is that?
What do you think the outcome's going to be over there? Have any clue? What are you hoping?
From the beginning of the war, I said, and it didn't seem possible, I said, I think it'll turn out okay for Ukraine. And people laughed at me. Impossible, impossible. Russia's so strong, and there's so many people. But now it seems to be taking a turn. And it seems like Ukraine is getting it down. But the big thing is, Russia has said that they will use nuclear weapons for the fight. They're going to use their country. If they do, they're awful stupid, because the prevailing winds are from the west. And if they send a nuclear weapon to Ukraine, it'll blow right over off the land.
Thanks for the information.
What's the attitude towards the United States?
In general, it's good. They were really bitterly disappointed that, like, the United States quit helping them for a while, but it seems like it's going to happen again now. It's changeable here, what the U.S. does.
It wasn't very good when Lindsey Graham died, was it, for them?
they were shocked. It was too bad, because Lindsey Graham was there many times.
10 times.
Yeah, and he really had an interest in the country. And if these people would go over there and visit the country and see what the people are like, they would change their mind. Because I have only love and respect for the people. It was hard for them to leave. And
Are you going back?
just for a visit, maybe, but not to stay. I couldn't even get insurance there because they were full for their insurance. I finally got it, but it was a problem.
I wonder how old you are.
Join the party, we're all getting.
But what is amazing to me is the Ukrainians, you don't hear them complain. Life is hard. But, for example, not long ago, the Russians bombed the museum for Chernobyl Museum, like that huge disaster. And right next to that was a man set up a coffee shop. He invested a lot into it. And after this bombing, there's pictures of him in the paper, back in his coffee shop. The windows are broken. He's serving coffee. Serving donuts. And that's what they're like. Resilient, yeah. And there's I wish I had a way to show you the picture. Maybe I'll post it on Facebook, because there's a lot of interesting things. There's a picture of a apartment building, a big apartment building in the beach, and the top floors are just nothing there. And that's way, way away from the Russian border by Accola, but they send missiles over there. 8 months later, that building was built up like new.
You put that on Facebook. I saw that on Facebook. Yes.
Yeah. And there's a video, I wanted to save it, but it's on, maybe it was in, what do you call it? Connected with Facebook. Anyway, no, there's a Instagram. It was a video on Instagram, and it was a little boy. You don't see him, but you see the surroundings, and you can see that there's missiles and bombs coming down, and it's scary. And the little boy, "It's okay, mommy. Don't be afraid. I'm with you, mommy."
Is that right? You're gonna help me. You want to try to move in there?
But terrible. There's so many terrible, sad stories. Really sad. People that lost their father or brothers in the war and stuff like that. And I'll say this much about the war, because the Ukrainians, as well as, well, they've developed drones. They were just a real small producer. They're very clever with IT, and they've excelled in producing drones. They're the biggest producer of drones in the world. And they're supplying to 2 countries and their own drones. And they say the tide is turning because of drones. Of course, we don't know what's going to happen. What was I going to say with that? There's really interesting videos about the drone. But I was headed somewhere.
That happens.
Used to work at Pepsi. Thank you for. You got more?
Yeah, there were more things I was going to tell you. And it's gone. I think you all understand what it is.
Well, thank you very much.
Does anybody have any questions they want to ask her right now?
When did you start for home? When did you start
When
coming?
did I start home? Well, I left here where I was in the middle of July. Anyway, about a month before I left up there. And the folks nearly cried when we left. And then I went to Poland a little bit there.
That's how you got out and went up to Poland first?
Yeah, we had met a whole people over there. But one thing, I've been in Kiev, which is very often bombed, and it's the people. The next day, they get up, they go to work, and life goes back to normal. There's a video that it's just kind of short, and it shows the city in the morning, the sun coming up, smoke on the horizon, birds singing, the spring is it's really sweet. And people do not complain. In the winter, we had electricity was extremely limited. Sometimes 2 hours of electricity a day. But they gave us a schedule. We knew when it would be, so we could plan. And we had our clothes in the washer and phones plugged in, ready to charge things when the electric system came on. So we didn't lose any time.
Compare them to Americans.
Yeah. And after one bad bombing, in that bombing, our apartment was, I mean, it was really scary. And the next day, no electricity, no water, no heat, and it was in May. It was cold. We got heat after a week, but most of our side of the river didn't have heat the rest of the winter. Some people said our apartment is 4 degrees Celsius, which would be maybe upper 30s in the apartment. But
Complain if we can't get the Brewers game.
the Ukrainians, they amaze me because they set up, they call it invincible points around the city. And it was big tents. They're plastic, I think, but maybe lined, I don't know. And you could go there any time of the day or night, charge your phone, warm up, drink some warm tea or coffee or something. And we had one in front of our building, a ways behind it, and people, a lot of people didn't have electricity to even make something to eat. And there were like soup kitchens around, a lot of them around the city, you know, something to eat. And when I left there, it was like that. But they take care of their people. And there was a generator running all night long by this place, and go any time of the night today, warm up, and drink, charge your phone and stuff like that.
A lot of underground tunnels going from building to building.
Not from building to building, but there are the tunnels that are like when you go to the metro, to the subway, and they're safer when there's a bomb. But the subways are the best place to go, the metro, the way down there. When we were at an attack, we just stayed in our apartment. Because to go to a bomb shelter, it would have meant going down the steps, because you don't take the elevator when there's an air raid, you don't know what can happen, and walking, I don't know how far, in the dark, cold, and then going to a building where there probably wasn't even a place to sit down, and waiting maybe 8 hours until you could go out and call the comes. So we just stayed in our apartment. But I had a little jacket I wore all winter long, even to bed, with pockets, so that it was easy. I had that jacket, and I took my passport and my permission to be in the country and put it in my pocket. And I put my phone there, and the keys. And our apartment just kind of had a more normal lock. But our apartment and the neighbor's apartment was here, and then we had a metal door that we had to go through. And that door was hard to open. And then get the key in and get it just open. Right. So I always went and unlocked that door if we had to run quick to get out. Because one of my big fears is being trapped in a burning building. And a lot of times the drones come, they hit, and there's just like that, there's a fire that terrible. So anyway, that's what I did. And I was over there about
Very courageous.
You know, the last little while I was with somebody, and both of us said, you know, we've counted how many days we have left until we get out into where it's quieter and we can sleep all night. But I've said several times, I said, you know, these days made us thankful for things that we never thought about before. Things that are normal. We're so thankful because we slept through the night. There were no air raids. We're so thankful because we're alive another day. It was another day of life. We're thankful that we have electricity now. We don't have to climb 6 flights to get to our apartment. We're thankful that we have heating and we're thankful we have water and all those things. And you appreciate things that you never appreciated before.
That we all seem to take for granted.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
It's very lucky here.
I'm
Very spoiled here.
Yeah, and I feel it was a real privilege to be there and to get to know those people and their situation and try to be a help to them. I mean, even financially, it's very hard for a lot of people. And we had help sent to us, and where we saw there was a need, we help people. And we have a friend, a doctor, surgeon she is. Before she was, when she was still studying, we had a revolution back in 14. They called it the Revolution of People against corruption, what it was. Well, she was a student, med student, but she went up to Kiev to that protest. Not to protest, but as a medic. She got back to the university, and her dean called her in. And the dean was put there by the president, who was pro-Russian at that time. And he said to her, "Why did you go up to Kiev?" To my daughter. She said, "Because I do not want to live in a country where you can buy your diploma." He said, "You can't believe everything." She said, "I know. I'm a student here, and your faculty is on English." She had courage. So anyway, now when the war started, she had her bags packed, and she was gone. And she's been at the country since then. Very, very difficult for her nerve. Anyway, and she married a soldier out there. He's one of these officer in her brigade. Very nice man. Yeah. And anyway, she said that the Russians purposely attack medical people. She said we wear the Red Cross on our uniform. We're a target for Russians. And they treat Russians as well as Ukrainians, whatever. And they shoot at the vehicles that they use to evacuate wounded people. And after they hit something like a building or a hospital or something, in about 15 minutes, they'll send another thing there with maybe shrapnel that kills a lot of people, and they'll kill 5 of the first responders. It's just so cool. The Ukrainians have tried to abide by the law, and we really respect them for it, because the soldiers that are captured, or that a lot of them, what do you call them? They surrender. And in fact, there is a way for them to get in touch with the Ukrainians and tell them that I want to surrender. They're on Telegram. They have a site. The Ukrainians made it. And it says, "I want to live." And so through this, they can contact the Ukrainians and tell them, "I want to surrender." And the Ukrainians will even demine an area for them to get out safely. And even the ones that have been captured, the soldiers, they say, there's sites on YouTube and you can listen to their interviews. And many of them say, we did not expect to be doing well. They told us that they would torture us, they would kill us. But they didn't. They're kind to us. We have a decent bed, we have good food. They give us something, like there's a job we can work at, we get money for it. And it's just right. But the Ukrainians that actually captured and sent to Russia is horror. It's actually horror. They torture them, and a lot of them have been sent back, their bodies, evident that they've got broken bones and they're just terrible.
What is the basic religion in Ukraine?
Orthodox is very common. It's similar to the Greek Orthodox, but there's the Russian Orthodox, which is for a long time been had that. Ukrainian Orthodox, I don't know exactly how long. In Ukraine, there are both types of churches. But the last while, the Ukrainians have tried to do Russian Orthodox out. Because of that, you will read over here that Ukraine is persecuting religion. It's not true. They want the Russian Orthodox gone because they have hidden weapons for people, for the Russians. They have spread a lot of Russian propaganda, things against Ukraine, and they don't help people. They're on the Russian side. And over there in Russia, the Orthodox Church blesses the tanks that come to Ukraine to kill people. And to them, it's a holy war. They feel like the West is corrupt, it's full of gays and all this kind of stuff, and they're take over the country purified.
Wow.
And there's a site in Russia, we can get it from YouTube, telling that here in Russia we don't have any of these, it's so good, and come in here. And some people have gone over there. And then you hear their story, and they're very, very disappointed. You know, they're not treated well. This husband, this one family, was taken to the front as a soldier. They wanted her to not. Sorry, you didn't agree. Anyway.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you so much for.
It's really nice.
For regular information, Linda, are we here until a certain time or not?
Midnight.
So, if you want to order something to eat, you're on your own, I guess. You just order when you want. Everything's self-service. So, thanks for being here.
Phil's pocket.
Yes.
We're the best.
Amen.
I guess it's you and me and Hey, Harv, turn around. That's a parting shot here.
What am I with, guy?
Yeah.
Hit it. I got a robot. Not a problem, no problem. Yeah, try to deal over there.
Accents are we met up with some friends.
Please.
Hey, you're on.
And the beer. Okay, here is to a wonderful reunion of our class. We're glad that Sharon was here to join us. We had a wonderful turnout of people, and I'm happy that she was able to experience and tell us what she has done in the last 60 years in Ukraine and Poland and Romania, and the peace and contentment that she has provided to those people, whether in a missionary statement or just as a human being. It's wonderful, and here's to all of us at 80 years old.